Clemson traveling to Miami to the truly friendly confines of Hard Rock Stadium. Miami, we've talked about it on here. You've heard everyone that you listen to probably talk about Miami's home environment that which they do not really have. That is not that threatening because we know how tough home field advantage is. We know how road teams are performing in 2023, especially. Not that it's that different from any given year, but we have a bit of an any given Saturday vibe in this game with Miami taking down Clemson 28-20 in two overtimes. You had a game that was deadlocked at half before Clemson scored 10 in the third to take a 17-7 lead, and Miami returned that favor right back in the fourth before again closing Clemson out in double overtime. Dan and I, as you know, if you listen to our Tennessee Alabama recap, we were in Bryant-Denny Stadium, so we didn't take in a lot of action, but still got a lot of reaction for you. A lot of thoughts aimed at Dabo Sweeney after this tire fire of a game and a result. This is the same Miami that, 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks prior, gift wraps a game to Georgia Tech, who is going to be struggling for the foreseeable future, that as they have been, to get things right, to get things normalized after being in a triple option program for so long. And Clemson can't win this game on the road. This puts Clemson at 4-3 on the year. And just looking at some of the other numbers from this game, much of it very even, though it was done in different ways. First downs, Clemson has one more. Total yards, Miami has 17 more, despite Clemson passing for well over 100, almost 150 more yards passing than Miami had. So Miami dominates this game on the ground, where they almost had 200 more rushing yards than Clemson. And that just begs the question for me is, where in the heck has the Clemson that we came to know after they kind of eradicated Clemsoning, if you will? They're back to those ways in different methods. And again, they lose such a winnable game at Miami. Bad play at times from Cade Klubnik. He's only 18 of 34 through the air. He banged out 314 yards through the air on those attempts, despite that, just above 50% completion percentage. But Clemson as a team rushes for 0.9 per carry, largely in part due to a bevy of sacks. Clemson was sacked 5 times by Miami. That totals Klubnik for negative 27 yards on the game, and that's a sorry result for Clemson. I mean, just a totally sorry result. Way to do it is just, that's the horrible way to lose. Their tight end was their leading receiver by far, 70 yards more than the next guy. I don't know where their receiver play is gone. I don't know where their run game is gone. I just can't. It's hard to fathom these things. It's so weird how relatively minor things have just handicapped the mess out of this Clemson program. I mean, you've still got a back in Will Shipley, he's big. He's got plenty of speed in his frame. You've got Phil Maffa behind him, who is more than serviceable. So many programs across the country would take him. And you've got Cade Klubnik. You land a Cade Klubnik that was a great prospect coming out of high school. He was just like so many Clemson quarterbacks that they've won ball games with. I'm starting to wonder at this point. He's only a sophomore. He's got plenty of football left in his collegiate career. But, I wonder if they might have thrown him out a little bit too early. I know they didn't really have a choice with the way that DJ Uiagalelei was playing at the time, but I just wonder if he's kind of scarred, if the first year under Garrett Riley is not going well for him. It's obviously not, but I wonder if that's the underlying cause of some of the play that we've seen from Cade. They obviously have some receiver issues. I know they have injuries there. I remember that from seeing them play so far this season. And again, their leading receiver from that position was Tyler Brown, a freshman, with 5 catches for 53 yards. They're just not very explosive. through the air. On the whole, they can obviously go up and down the field. They can throw for 300 yards, but again, their long pass on the day is a 50-yarder to their tight end. That's it's not really the Clemson that we've seen, and this is the new Clemson, I guess, is what it boils down to. I'm sorry, Miami beats Clemson with clearly their backup quarterback, Emory Williams. Tyler Van Dyke did not play in this game. And again, they have several dudes. They just have a committee on the ground. Uh, they banged out 5.6 per carry on the ground, and obviously that's a huge part of what helped them win this game. Again, Dan and I didn't get to watch this. So much of the reason I mentioned this game is because it's just another terrible result for Clemson. It's more bad ball from them. And the meltdown is obvious because in the post game, you have the following remark from Dabo Swinney, asked by a reporter if Clemson has sports psychologists for their team. Not sure exactly what prompted this question because, again, we were traveling. We were on the road on the way back from Bryant-Denny Stadium. Dabo's response: "We've got one, a sports psychologist, that is. He's probably on suicide watch right now." Dude, how is this guy so clueless? How is he so tasteless? That's a ridiculous response. Among so many other things, we've seen such an awareness, such a care for mental health, and you go so far as to say that he was joking earlier in the week before this game that they have too many bandwagon fans. Okay, you have too many fans. That's what you're saying. And that he said that they should, maybe lose some more games to try to weed some of them out. You're doing it. You're doing it. The next thing to go will probably be recruiting, which has still been pretty strong, even though you're taking you're addressing none of your needs through the transfer portal like a dummy. The next thing to go right there after fans, because your home environment's going to take a hit when you make comments like this, when you are so lackadaisical about winning, and you're a two-time champion. Just throwing it out there. Yeah, the next thing to go will be the players. So, you may not like transfers in. You're probably going to see a slew of transfers out. It's probably what's going to happen. And you're probably not going to be able to reach some of the high school prospects that you've reached to take you to those heights that you've been at, that you should enjoy, that have you paid amongst the highest coaches in the sport. And again, have you losing to a program that gift-wrapped a win that stole a loss from the jaws of victory like 2 weeks prior against Georgia Tech and the program that they are right now. I don't know. I mean, this thing doesn't look like it's built for long-term success, or even, I'll say long-term to be sustained long-term. Like, it just looks like it's winding down and could come crashing down because there's not really any subtle changes for college football programs, for coaches that find themselves on the way out. It's usually pretty abrupt. And, that's the way that it's trending. I think it's probably pretty correctable, but not if you're going to be a guy who won't take transfers, not if you're going to be a guy who makes ignorant remarks like that, talking about mental health in the year 2023. No one should talk about mental health that way. No one should joke or you're angry and you make a comment about someone being on suicide watch. That's not going to work. Not going to work. You're just trying to number your days. You're just trying to get yourself out of the game. It looks like to me is what that sounds like, and it's pretty sorry. This was a program that I had immense respect for. The way that he was a position coach turned head coach, and he built a championship program within 10, 12 years of doing that. Two championships. They were obviously fun to watch. They were doing things that Tennessee fans loved, and beating Alabama, beat Georgia here and there. Picking up some nice wins, doing it with NFL players, putting guys in the league. You should be growing your fan base. You should be building off of that and not tanking it. But that's the route that it looks like it's going. So shout out to Miami. It looks like we were a little bit wrong about them. They obviously didn't perform probably as bad as the majority expected against North Carolina the week after giving the game to Georgia Tech, but really, really nice way to bounce back.
Pandemonium reigns.
Clemson's going for someone that perennial title contender is someone. So, well done to Miami program. A little bit of shame on y'all, Clemson, especially Dabo, get it right. Or
Pandemonium reigns.
talk about it